Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today we will be continuing to read Poe's poems, I believe it was, where we were partway through one of them, but we couldn't see the end close enough to be able to finish that particular one off yesterday. So, let's continue with 9. 9. The passionate spirit which hath known, and deeply felt the silent tone of its own self-supremacy, I speak thus openly to thee. 'Twere folly now to veil a thought, with which this aching breast is fraught, the soul which feels its innate right, the mystic empire and high power, given by the energetic might of genius at its natal hour, which knows, believe me at this time, when falsehood were a tenfold crime, there is a power in the high spirit to know the fate it will inherit. The soul which knows such power will still find pride the ruler of its will. Yes, I was proud, and ye who know the magic of that meaning word, so oft perverted, will bestow your scorn perhaps when ye have heard that the proud spirit had been broken, the proud heart burst in agony, at one upbraiding word or token of her that heart's idolatry. I was ambitious, have ye known its fiery passion? Ye have not. A cottager I marked a throne of half the world as all my own, and murmured at such lowly lot, but it had passed me as a dream, which of light step flies with the dew. That kindling thought did not the beam of beauty which did guide it through the livelong summer day oppress my mind with double loveliness. 10. We walked together on the crown of a high mountain which looked down, afar from its proud natural towers of rock and forest on the hills, the dwindled hills whence amid bowers her own fair hand had reared around, gushed shoutingly a thousand rills, which as it were in fairy bound, embraced two hamlets, those our own, peacefully happy, yet alone. I spoke to her of power and pride, but mystically in such guise, that she might deem it naught beside the moment's converse in her eyes. I read perhaps too carelessly a mingled feeling with my own. The flush on her bright cheek to me seemed to become a queenly throne, too well that I should let it be a light in the dark, wild, alone. 11. There in that hour a thought came o'er my mind it had not known before, to leave her while we both were young, to follow my high fate among the strife of nations, and redeem the idle words which as a dream now sounded to her heedless ear. I held no doubt, I knew no fear of peril in my wild career, to gain an empire and throw down as nuptial dowry a queen's crown, the only feeling which possessed with her own image my fond breast. Who that had known the secret thought of a young peasant's bosom then, had deemed him in compassion aught but one whom fantasy had led astray from reason among men? Ambition is chained down nor fed, as in the desert where the grand, the wild, the beautiful conspire with their own breath to fan its fire. With thoughts such feeling can command, unchecked by sarcasm and scorn of those who hardly will conceive that any should become great born. 5. In their own sphere will not believe that they shall stoop in life to one, whom daily they are wont to see, familiarly whom fortune's sun hath ne'er shone dazzlingly upon, lowly and of their own degree. 12. I pictured to my fancy's eye her silent deep astonishment, when a few fleeting years gone by, for short the time my high hope lent, to its most desperate intent, she might recall in him whom fame had gilded. She might recall in him whom fame had gilded with a conqueror's name, with glory such as might inspire, perforce, a passing thought of one, whom she had deemed in his own fire, withered and blasted, whom had gone, a traitor, violate of the truth, so plighted in his early youth, her own Alexis who should plight, 6, the love he plighted then again, and raise his infancy's delight, the bride and queen of Tamerlane. 13. One noon of a bright summer's day, I passed from out the matted bower, where in a deep still slumber lay my Ada in that peaceful hour. A silent gaze was my farewell, I had no other solace then, to awake her and a falsehood tell, of a feigned journey were again, to trust the weakness of my heart, to her soft thrilling voice to part. Thus haply while in sleep she dreamed of long delight, nor yet had deemed, awake that I had held a thought of parting were with madness fraught. I knew not woman's heart, alas, though loved and loving, let it pass. 14. I went from out the matted bower, and hurried madly on my way, and felt with every flying hour that bore me from my home more gay. There is of earth an agony, which ideal still may be, the worst ill of mortality, 'tis bliss in its own reality, too real to his breast who lives, not within himself, but gives a portion of his willing soul to God and to the great whole, to him whose loving spirit will dwell, with nature in her wild paths tell, of her wondrous ways and telling bless her overpowering loveliness, a more than agony to him, whose failing sight will grow dim, with its own living gaze upon that loveliness around the sun, the blue sky, the misty light of the pale cloud therein, whose hue is grace to its heavenly bed of blue. Dim, though looking on all bright, O God, when the thoughts that may not pass will burst upon him, and alas, for the flight on earth to fancy given, there are no words, unless of heaven. 15. Look round thee now on Samarcand. 7. Is she not the queen of earth, her pride, above all cities in her hand, their destinies with all beside, of glory which the world hath known, stands she not proudly and alone? And who her sovereign Timur he? 8. Whom the astonished earth hath seen, with victory on victory, redoubling age and more, I ween. The Zingi's yet re-echoing fame. 9. And now what has he, what, a name? The sound of revelry by night comes o'er me, with the mingled voice of... The sound of revelry by night comes o'er me with the mingled voice of many with a breast as light, as if 'twere not the dying hour, of one in whom they did rejoice, as in a leader, haply, power. Its venom secretly imparts, nothing have I with human hearts. 16. When fortune marked me for her own, and my proud hopes had reached a throne, it boots me not, good friar, to tell a tale the world but knows too well, how by what hidden deeds of might I clambered to the tottering height. I still was young, and well I ween my spirit what it e'er had been. My eyes were still on pomp and power, my wildered heart was far away, in valleys of the wild Taglay. In mine own Ada's matted bower, I dwelt not long in Samarcand. Ere in a peasant's lowly guise I sought my long-abandoned land. By sunset did its mountain rise, in dusky grandeur to my eyes. But as I wandered on the way, my heart sunk with the sun's ray. To him who still would gaze upon the glory of the summer sun, there comes, when that sun will from him part, a sullen hopelessness of heart. That soul will hate the evening mist, so often lovely, and will list to the sound of the coming darkness known to those whose spirits hearken, 10 as one, who in a dream of night would fly, but cannot from a danger nigh. What thought the moon, the silvery moon, shine on his path in her high noon? Her smile is chilly, and her beam in that time of dreariness will seem as the portrait of one after death, a likeness taken when the breath of young life and the fire o' the eye had lately been, but had passed by. 'Tis thus when the lovely summer sun of our boyhood his course hath run. For all we live to know is known, and all we seek to keep hath flown. With the noonday beauty which is all, let life then as the day flower fall. The transient passionate day flower, 11, withering at the evening hour. Well, and with that we are slightly over time, so I am going to say thank you for joining me today. We're going to end it here for a change at the top of the page. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.